This is the first video. I'm not lying. I made an account to check. This is the first video YouTube recommends your kids when they make a YouTube Kids account. Seconds in, questioning, asking questions to the kids, confusing the kids, making them question what they believe or why they've been raised that way. You got ready. The producer said, hey, you're going to be talking to kids, trying to teach them about gender non-conforming or gender, whatever it's called. And then you're like, oh, let me wear a shirt with naked for them. I'm not kidding. That sums up the whole video. Not really. Why are we here? Why are you guys showing me this? Why are we talking? The first segment that we're going to talk about tonight is, what is YouTube teaching our kids? What is YouTube recommending our kids?
Nothing good.
And not only that, more importantly, what is the world teaching our kids? Because as Christian parents, there's one side that says we shouldn't shelter our kids, which I'll love to hear your opinion on this. Don't shelter your kids. If we shelter them, they're going to go crazy out in the world, which I think is total lie from the enemy. And the other side is like, shelter your kids. Make sure you know what they're watching, what they're doing. The world's evil. Be a covering for them. In my opinion, isn't a shelter a good thing? Like a shelter is literally protection during a storm. And the world is pouring out on our kids with the alphabet community. And let me make this clear too, because we're gonna talk about what YouTube recommends kids. When I say the alphabet community, I have to say that because I get banned if I say the other word. And when I say like Transformers, people are like, why do you call them Transformers? Like I literally can't say the other word that starts with trans whatever because YouTube takes down our videos. So don't get mad at me, but these communities and the world, not just these communities, really are like overwhelmingly after our kids.
Yeah.
In my mind, it's like, okay, go after the teenagers, do what you want to do on TV, but it's always children's YouTube, what they're doing here, what they're doing there. I really do believe that if we don't disciple our kids, YouTube will.
Yeah.
YouTube would love to disciple your kids. Their iPads would love to disciple them, their cell phones. And some of these kids out here are like 5 walking around with cell phones. I don't understand that, but that's a whole nother topic. But I really believe the church, believers, Christians, not even the church, we have to disciple our kids. We have to make sure we're the ones teaching them what's right, what's wrong, because the world's looking to, the devil's looking to. Someone said, if we don't teach our children to follow Christ, the world will teach them not to.
We also have to teach them how to navigate too.
Yeah.
Like how we teach our kids if, something about Halloween comes on or something, how they have to just turn it off.
Yeah. Witchcraft,
so they're still
magic.
being raised in this world and they still have to learn how to go about it and how to turn it off and what's good and what's bad.
Yeah, and talking with your kids, making them aware of what's happening in the world, making them aware of what the enemy's doing, because the enemy is out here, coming in like a flood. We're going to give you guys, after this video, a couple steps, like very basic steps of how you could be involved with your kids, things you can do with what we're talking about, so it's not just do this or do that, but some areas that we want to touch on for sure about raising kids in God. And let's just be honest, we're going to be the first ones to say, we are not experts at all. We are not saying we have it all together. We are so far from where we want to be. We always say, like, we got to do better. We're trying to get to that level. We're not where we want to be.
No, we're always are wanting to do more. And oh, we need to be better parents. Oh, we need to do more with the kids. Oh, we need to teach them more about God. It's never like, wow, we're doing so great. We're always...
Yeah, so we're not saying like you guys, look at what you guys are doing, look what we're doing. But I wanted to talk about this YouTube, what is YouTube recommending kids? Because there's a lot of kids that watch, a lot of parents that let their kids watch kids YouTube. And we did for a while, or a short while, we noticed our kids were acting dramatically different.
Yeah.
And we were like, no YouTube. You're not watching YouTube because there's some crazy stuff on there. So I saw this guy posted a video, one of the first videos YouTube recommends kids. And we're going to watch that video in a minute. And I thought, there's no way this is real. There's no way this video we're about to react to, we're going to pause it. If you don't know what reaction is, you're going to learn tonight. We're going to pause it and talk in between. There's no way this video is recommended to kids. This guy, it has to be clickbait. So I didn't believe it. I saw his video and then I made a YouTube account and said, I'm 9-year-old little Johnny and I want to make a YouTube account. And what is YouTube going to recommend me? And sure enough, literally, when you make an account for, I think 8 to 12 years old is what I made it for. This is the first video. There's like 9 videos that pop up. This is the first one that YouTube recommends your kids when they make a kid's account. And you're about to see on this video, this is like the epitome of confusion of what the devil's agenda is, what these communities want to do to our kids. And this is not some like Christian conservative conspiracy. This is literally what's happening in the world right now. And so we're going to watch this together. It is hard to watch because it is bizarre. We'll pause it when we want to pause it. Actually, I should have got you a little remote too, so you can pause it when you want to pause it. But if you want to pause it, just say something. Yeah, just say something and I'll pause it. All right, we're going to watch this together. Hopefully it all syncs up on screen for you guys. Let's get on here. Maybe I'll go to the reaction and we're going to react to this. This is kids meet a gender non-conforming person. This is the first video that YouTube is recommending to your kids. Kids meet a gender non-conforming, so I guess they say like binary or blue, I don't know. But let's watch this here. So we're going to play it and then we'll pause it and we'll talk in between here.
If a parent offers the option, you can play with this doll or you can play with this ball, and the boy chooses the ball, my theory is because early humans, like the men, as far as I'm concerned, hunted.
I mean, is there a reason why the men were?
So the men hunted. So the kid says, you know, men were hunters. And I want to just note, like, seconds in, the person that's supposed to be like the gender non-conforming person that's going to teach this kid a lesson or two, which the kids are about to teach this person, are like questioning, asking questions to the kids, confusing the kids, making them question what they believe or why they've been raised that way. And honestly, some of this is just disturbing and it falls on the parents. The parents should be the ones teaching. The parents should be the ones telling their kids, this is right, this is wrong. And the fact that parents are letting their kids sit with gender non-conforming people to talk about this stuff is just crazy. But yeah.
Were the ones hunting?
Probably because they were stronger.
He said, is there a reason?
Hi,
Or
I'm
the
Manteca.
person said, is there a reason why they are men are hunting? And the boy said, probably because they're stronger. It's such a simple answer. It's like,
Willow,
not that
nice
hard.
to meet you.
Hi, I'm Brianna.
Hey, Brianna, I'm Nanta. Nice to meet you. Yeah.
Okay, so can I start asking questions? Mom, you said
ready to go.
think of some questions and be prepared. I'm prepared.
Do you know why we're here today?
Not really.
Not really. Okay.
That sums up the whole video. Not really. Why are we here? Why are you guys showing me this? Why are we talking? And the kid goes, not really. Because kids don't know. Like when it comes to all this gender stuff and this whole alphabet community agenda, like kids have no clue. They don't walk around born going like, I don't know what gender I am. If I'm binary or non-binary or gender fluid, or if I identify as, you know, a bag of Doritos or identify as, I don't know. I mean, kids don't know. Kids are literally innocent. They come out going, I'm either a boy or I'm a girl. Super simple. And the world's the one that comes and perverts and distorts and changes things. So crazy. This play is not working.
I think it has something to do like gender non-binary or non-conforming.
Yeah, both. Yeah, so gender non-conforming and non-binary.
What's gender non-conforming?
Well, what do you think it is?
Something about
Make a guess.
gender, because I hear the word gender in it.
Do I look like a girl to you?
Yes.
Well, what if I told you that sometimes, though, I feel more like a boy?
That's okay.
So binary, boy and a girl. So non-binary, meaning...
And
Opposite.
Yeah, exactly. That's a bunch of crock, right? You can be one end, the other end, or anywhere in between.
That's interesting. But confusing.
So let's
thank you. Thank you. He goes, that's confusing. And then this person, which I literally don't know what they are because I'm as confused as they are about it, has like naked mermaids on their shirt with like censored out on the chest. I know it's hard to see.
I can't see that.
Can you see?
No.
Okay, you'll see when it zooms in. There's like naked mermaids. Like, why are you wearing a naked mermaid shirt with a kid's? Like, you're going to talk with kids. Like, you got ready. The producer said, hey, you're going to be talking to kids, trying to teach them about gender non-conforming or gender whatever it's called. And then you're like, oh, let me wear a shirt with naked mermaids. I'm like, is that is that like sponsored by Leviathan? Like, seriously, is that like sponsored by Leviathan? Because you have like this mermaid that's naked, this open mouth. I don't know. You'll see the censored over the... Crazy.
let's really start getting into some questions. Do you wish you were raised not as a girl but just an anta?
Yes, totally. It would have been great to just be marked like X-gender, you know, not boy, not girl. Coming into my own skin later in life would have been a lot more easier. Did you always know you're a girl?
Yeah.
Okay, did you always know you're a girl? Let's listen to her answer. By the way, I haven't watched this full video, but if you're just jumping in, this is what YouTube recommends your kids when they make a kids account. This is the first video. I'm not lying. I made an account to check. This is the first video YouTube recommends your kids when they make a YouTube kids account. So let's see what this girl, she's like, did you always know you're a girl? And let's see what this let's see what this precious little girl has to say.
Has that ever changed
yeah.
or for you or
No.
no? How did you know you were a girl?
I feel it in my body.
Yeah.
I'm a boy, not a girl.
But people think he's a girl.
Oh, so people think you're a girl.
I've been called a girl, I think 309 times now.
That is a little boy, and obviously he has long hair, so people are
Yeah.
like, he's a girl. I mean,
But he doesn't like when they call him a girl.
Yeah, he doesn't like that. I would get a haircut if my kid was like, I'm getting called a girl all the time. I mean, he doesn't mind it, obviously, but still, it's kind of like these are like the job of the parents to be like, hey, everyone's calling you a girl. Maybe we should cut your hair. But again, I thought he was a boy. I mean, he looks like a boy to me. But yeah.
And I like my hair, just how it is.
What makes a boy a boy?
An X and a Y chromosome.
Oh.
He's so cute.
What makes a boy an ex? How is he taking us to school here? This is such a perfect video because it literally shows how innocent kids are and how simple it is. Because there's like 50 genders now, everyone's confused, but like the kids make it so simple, and he just gave us the math.
So like, is there anything to name?
He gave us the science on it.
Like on the outside of somebody that makes them a boy?
Like,
Genitalia.
what?
Yeah.
No, that's also genetics, but like,
Well, yeah, but like, that's on the outside, I'm just saying.
are we talking about like
Looking or like
Emotions.
emotional or like hormonal or like genetical?
or like feelings? Like,
Genetical.
I don't know where we're going. Like,
Yeah.
Have you ever heard about like how people try to say like pink is a girl thing, and then like how blue is like a boy color?
Yeah, I hear about that, even though blue is one of my favorite colors.
Yeah, right. So you see how confusing that could.
See, so she's saying like, oh, you know, because of color, some girls like blue, so maybe
He's
see
trying
how
to
it's
like persuade her.
She's trying to persuade them to be like, yeah, it's confusing, right?
Yeah.
When it's like the kids are like, no, it's not confusing. Like genitals and like chromosomes, it's not confusing. Why have we made it so confusing? God literally makes two.
Yeah.
He didn't make like 90 or 50 or 60. He makes two. And then we're like, no, there's like actually like 30. It's just like so crazy.
I feel like when it's like, I want to do this and that.
if a parent offers the option with no bias, hey, you can play with this doll or you can play with this ball, and the boy chooses the ball, my theory is because early humans, like the men, as far as I'm concerned, hunted, and so sort of like genetically men preferred things that moved around. I know that's like completely a theory in terms of.
I mean, is there a reason why the men were the ones hunting?
Probably because they were stronger.
Thank you. He's taking us to school. She's like, oh,
I think that's where I kind of like, oh, really? Well, I'm strong. Why can't I be a hunter too?
Well, yeah, but like
I was like, Jezebel.
I was gonna say she sounds bitter.
Why can't I
Or
do all the
here.
stuff the guys do? But again, those naked mermaids confuse me. Why are you wearing a naked mermaid? Do you see that now? Yeah,
Yeah, now I see it.
with the little things.
And now that it's zoomed in.
That's so crazy to me. I think it's a she. She's like, yeah, why is
in terms of like muscle mass, men have like, and I mean, they probably weren't thinking about that.
Does your family ever get mad at you for what you want to identify?
Oh yeah. I think it's different now that I'm an adult, but growing up, my mom would force me to wear a dress that I don't really want to wear.
I don't really like wearing dresses or skirts too, so I feel really uncomfortable when I'm like wearing the skirt.
Yeah. But did you get to choose your outfit today?
No.
So you know exactly how I feel then.
Yeah.
How do you know if somebody's gender nonconforming? Is it okay to ask somebody what their gender is?
So it's a lot better to ask about the person's pronouns.
That would be like he or she or they.
I'm so confused.
Right. Versus if I said,
What's your gender?
yeah, what's your gender? Are you a boy or are you a girl?
Seems like you're very interested in knowing.
So have you ever been confused by using they, them as a pronoun for someone?
I mean, sometimes it can be confusing, but it's
I'm
also,
confused.
I also have to remember that that's the pronouns that they've chosen, and I need to respect that. I've noticed someone in my class, first period, has the pronouns that they would like on their backpack.
Oh, really? Oh, that's cool. I've been to the Philippines.
Oh, I like the Philippines.
Oh, you've been there too?
Yeah.
That's where my family's from. And
Where my mom's from.
okay. They use the term Shah. So Shah is like all encompassing of every gender, you know?
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
There's a girl who works at my tutoring center, and she goes by they, them, and then a lot of times, like I just did call she, and then I'm like, oh wait, no, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Imagine being, how
For
crazy is
little
this?
kids.
What do you think about this? Are you
Those
getting
little
emotional?
kids. Well, I just feel bad for them.
It's so crazy. Like imagine living in a
They're
world.
like so set in their thing, and then she's like trying to confuse them, and they're like, well, they're trying to be nice to everybody.
We literally live in
just
this
feel bad
world
for
where
them.
kids don't even know what to call
Yeah.
people, and anything you say is wrong. And then we're supposed
Yeah.
to keep track of like, are they, them? Is it a he,
Well, she was
she,
just saying,
or
she's
him,
like, yeah,
her?
my tutoring girl, I called her a she, and then, I felt bad. So it's like, they just felt bad.
What a weird world. Again, this is what YouTube recommends your kids. They want your kids to watch this video.
Yeah.
And they frame this video in such a way where it's like, oh, it's innocent. But then the whole time, she is basically wanting to get them to be like, do
Yeah.
you see the gray area?
To change them.
Do you see the gray area? Do you see where like you guys are wrong by not treating us the way we want to be treated or calling us the way we want to be called? And again, guys, this is not like a person that's a transformer saying like, I want to be a woman or a girl. This is someone saying, I'm nothing. I'm non-conforming. I'm just an X. I'm just nothing. So it's just so weird to me how these kids not only have to be aware of like all the pronouns, but then you also have to be aware of there's people that don't have anything. They identify as
Yeah.
nothing. Now people like literally there's a live stream company and they have employees that identify as animals. So like one of their,
You're
no, I
lying.
promise you, one of the head executives.
No.
Yes. Am I telling the truth, Nico? Yeah. Yes. One of the head
What?
people identifies as a deer.
No,
And they're like, yes.
Isaiah.
Yes.
No.
And they're like, hey, you need to make sure you use her deer pronouns.
no.
I promise you, this is a large streaming. I probably don't want to say it because I don't want to get like flagged or anything. But a large streaming platform. The person identifies as a deer, so it's like, what do deer even eat? I mean,
No.
Yeah. And then there's kids now. I'm not kidding. There's kids that don't laugh at this. I'm not kidding.
gonna laugh.
There's kids that identify now as like cats, and so they want the school to have like litter boxes for them. I'm not kidding. They're like, yeah, my kid wants a certain
lying,
type of sand. I'm
Isaiah.
not kidding. This is what happens when you open this door. This is what happens when you open this door and you start saying, well, you can be whatever
Isaiah.
you want to be. You can be your favorite animal. You got to spin your chair back because now you're out of the
You're
camera.
joking with
You could be
me.
your favorite animal, whatever you want to be. As a kid, I wanted to be a bird, but I realized I couldn't
Isaiah.
fly. So I was like, well, I guess I can't
A
be a
litter
bird.
box?
I mean, seriously, I wanted to be a bird as a kid. I was like, because you're like, what animal did you want to be? I was like, I want to be a bird. And then I was like,
I feel like I can't breathe.
I watched Peter Pan 5 times and I was like, oh, I can't fly. But it sounds so outlandish. But again, this is what YouTube's recommending your kids.
So we're going to be raising our kids with people who want to be called animals.
I mean, our kids are super small private school and then homeschool if not.
No, but I'm just
They're
saying,
not
this
gonna
is
be in
like-
school.
they're going to be
This is
animals.
why I want to do this as part of this segment, and we're going to give you like steps of like quick steps of how you could like disciple your kids at home and stuff like that, really practical stuff. But this is why it's just like so crazy the world our kids live in, and why I'm like, you need to protect your kids and protect your home
is crazy.
because the devil is after our kids. The world they live in is like so much different than the world we grew up in.
Oh, yeah.
Like people, I don't want to say because I know there's people watching. When I grew up, I was like, I was at the skate park. I was like, what are y'all doing? Like, this is. I didn't even know what any of this was. No kid knows what this is
No.
until their parent comes and tells them this or brainwashes them, which
I
really
can't
what
even
it
believe
is.
that.
Yeah, it's total brainwashing.
Fell out of my chair right now.
So yeah, this is us. We're not chasing a fight. We're not picking a fight with the alphabet community. We love them. We pray. We believe. We know God. Same, just like every other sin. But the reason why we're covering this is because this is what YouTube recommends your kids. So when your kids make a YouTube Kids profile, this video is what YouTube says they should be watching this. And they watch this and they're like, Mommy, what's a they, them? What's a gender non-conforming binary transformer? Like, I don't know. It's just crazy. So let's keep going.
Did she ever, or sorry, see, even I made that mistake.
He made the mistake. She made the mistake. She's like, look, see, you got, let me run that. Watch this.
There's a girl who works at my tutoring center, and she goes by they, them, and then a lot of times, like I just did call she, and then I'm like, oh wait, no, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Did she ever, or sorry, see, even I.
See, that's what I'm saying. It's so hard to try to remember and know. It's like, is it love to call you the person God didn't create you to be? Like, is it love to say like, I'm going to call you a name that God doesn't call you, or I'm going to call you a name that God didn't create you to be. People say, well, you need to call him that because that's love. And I used to sometimes be like, maybe, but then I'm like, or is it like loving to be like, no, this is who God's called you to be, and this is your destiny, and this is what, like, I'm not going to call you an alcoholic. I'm going to call you free. I'm going to call you delivered. I'm not going to call you they, them, or whatever it is, because God created you to be this way, and this is God's desire, and God can set you free, and God can deliver you, and God can heal you. But look, even she is like, oh, I messed up too, so not as easy.
I made that mistake. Do they ever address it with or correct people who may use a different pronoun for them?
No, but somebody else might.
How does being non-binary affect your day-to-day life?
Looking for a job, there's times where before going into an interview, I totally just want to wear these slacks and a button-up shirt, but will it be more likely to get the job if I wore a dress suit or something, you know?
Why is gender such a big deal?
You know, sometimes I wish it really wasn't. How do you feel about it? Is it a big deal to you?
No, I just figure why can't they just be a person?
Yeah. Do you all think gender is a big deal?
No. Well, I mean, if someone was identified as neither boy nor girl, it's not a big deal to me if they were in between, but gender is a big part of who you are.
Oh, that's real. Ooh. Yeah. Thanks. Do you like handshakes?
So that's what YouTube is recommending your kids. Absolutely crazy to see just the confusion that these poor kids have to go through and the world that our kids are growing up in. I'm like, it's absolutely bizarre. They don't know what is left, what is right.
Sad.
You know, you call yourself this, you call yourself that. You could be an animal, you can be a dog, you could be a cat, you could be a deer, and you could wear whatever you want, say whatever. And then we, who for thousands of years, this has been male or female, but now we all have to cater and adapt. And our kids have to learn this and do this and go here and learn this at school. And for me, I really want to challenge everybody in the chat. If your kids are in public school, do everything you can to get them out of public school.
Yeah.
I know it sounds, for some of you, it's well, I can't. And I totally understand, but man, this is what they're teaching kids on YouTube, let alone in public school. So how much more should we disciple them? So let's give you guys, we have them up here on our screen. We'll kind of go through them just quickly. 8 simple, practical ways, and we won't go into detail on every single one, that you can be there for your kids, that we can combat this. Because we don't want to just complain about it. Be oh, look at what they're doing. The answer is disciple your kids. The answer is, actually, we're going to talk about in a minute what one of the answers is. We're going to show some videos and react to some more stuff. And I'm for sure going to get emotional tonight, by the way, because you don't know what clips we're going to see yet, but some of these clips are going to rock you. They rocked me. I watched one of them, and one of them I haven't watched. But we're going to talk about something that God is doing right now, because we don't just want to talk about, oh, this is the bad and this is the negative, because God is moving also right now, and we need to be there for our kids. So number 1, this might sound obvious, be involved in your kid's life. Be involved. Be aware of what they're listening to, what they're watching, what they're interested in. And it's so easy to not be involved. It's so easy to just be on your computer or do your work full time, and you're tired and you get home and you're trying to cook dinner and you're trying to clean, and then you got to get your kids ready to go to bed and you just don't know. And it's easier to just give them an iPad. Yeah. And be just go watch the iPad. And we do that too. And we're we got to stop doing that. But it's easier to not be involved, but we are very involved.
Very.
With what they're listening to, what they're watching, who they're talking to, friends, everything. We are fully involved. You cannot be too much in your kids' business. These are not your friends. God did not give you kids to be just friends. God gave them to disciple them, watch them. Do you have anything to say about being involved in watching what they're watching, and hey, what are you listening to? I mean, I'm constantly am I a broken record in our house, or?
Yeah, we deleted YouTube off their iPads. They only have access to certain little things. I mean, they can't get on the App Store. So we're very we know everything that they're watching and they're into.
And this goes into when your kids are older. People are well, my kid's older and they don't want me, which if your kids don't want you on your social media, I wonder why. It's well, my son blocked me on Instagram. Well, hey, who pays the phone bill? Yeah. I mean, I know so many kids are mad right now. This is what you're watching on Valentine's Day. Yeah. These kids. But seriously though, man, we have to be involved in our kids' lives. Yeah. We can't let these people, and when I say these people, I literally just mean these people, the world, disciple our kids, teach our kids. We have to disciple them. And we also can't just rely on church. We have to be involved with our kids.
So how do you think we should go about, just asking a question here, kind of introducing, our kids are going to start one day they will find out about all these different genders and stuff.
Yeah.
Do you think we should be the ones to bring it up to them first?
Yes. There's
and be
two
like,
genders.
this is what's going on, and this is what people are trying to get you to believe, but this is...
Yes. God made male and female. We get ahead of it before the world teaches them.
Okay.
Yeah, we teach them. This is what the world's happening. This is confusion. This is not God's will. This is not... Because guys, remember, we have a biblical worldview. So we're living our lives according to the Bible.
Yeah.
We don't care what the culture says. We don't care what the news says. We know we're going to be called bigots. We know we're going to be called haters. But at the end of the day, like, take it up with him. This is what the word of God says. And we're living our lives as the standard is God's word. So this is what God's word says. He made male and female. The male leaves his family. The female leaves her mom and dad. The male leaves mom and dad to cleave with the wife, and they go off together. It's like, that's it. So that's why teaching them the Genesis story, the account in Genesis, and teaching them God's plan with marriage. And then when they're, around 10, 11, 12, going through the birds and the bees, there's a thing called like passport of purity, which we talked about. Our kids are too young for it, but going through that with them and teaching them, giving them it before the world does, giving them the biblical standard before the world gives them a perverted version. So be involved. That's number one. Number two is model a holy lifestyle. Don't be walking out here being a hypocrite. Don't tell your kids, oh, I don't want you listening to that and you're listening to music just as bad or worse. I don't want you watching that and you're watching stuff just as bad or worse, right? It's like, I'm an adult, I can handle it. I think you need to model holiness to them. They could say, no, my parents walked this out. They lived a holy lifestyle. My parents weren't out drinking, weren't out cussing, weren't out smoking, weren't out watching stuff. It's like, no, you're cracking open your beer while telling your kids you shouldn't drink. Like, a little bit sus.
Wow.
You're over there listening to, oldies that are just as sexual as the music of today, telling your kids, well, you shouldn't be listening to that rap music. It's like, yeah, you're not listening to rap, but you're listening to oldies that are just as sexual or whatever else. So I think modeling so that you don't look like a hypocrite. Number three is, this just ties in, these are probably the same, is don't be a stumbling block to your kids. Don't be the reason why they don't want to serve God. So like whether that's your lack of commitment to God, your lack of prayer, your lack of desperation, your lack of hunger for God, your laziness, your complacency, your compromise. I can keep going all night. Like, don't be a stumbling block to them. Be like, well, I don't want to serve God because my parents, because of my parents. And I look back, I'm like, I thank God my parents were the way they were because I wouldn't be who I am today. Number four, and you can jump in. Remember, she could talk at any time and interrupt me. Yeah. She has a mic, guys. So don't be scared and be like, let her talk. She knows when she starts, I'll stop. Number four is make faith real in your home. This is like very basic, praying, reading together. I have an office, so I study, I get my sermons ready, all that. But I need to be way more. This is a huge, weakness to me, or like, what did I say? Blind spot and like error in my life. I don't know what to say, but problem. This is a problem, is I don't read and study enough where they can see, because I have an office, I study and pray. That's a really good point. So I need to just be intentional of just reading my Bible on the table, just so they can see, this is what not just in my office. And that's part of, I do this for a living and the whole thing. But yeah, I would say make faith real in your home, make prayer real. If someone's sick, hey, let's lay hands and pray. All the stuff that we teach and talk about, and make it real to them. Be open to talk about hard topics. So if there's a hard topic, don't be scared because you're a Christian. You can still talk about it. Again, get ahead of the world. And then number 6, this is my favorite, is tell your testimony. Tell your story. Tell them what God has done in your life. The Bible says there was a generation that rose up that didn't know the Lord their God or the stories of their parents or the miracles that he did. So at some point, a generation rose up and the parents just stopped telling stories. They just stopped saying, man, God's delivered us and God's healed us and your dad was this way and your mom was this way and we were like this. We weren't always holy. We weren't always, and you don't have to get all graphic and be like, mommy was out doing this, when she was 16. You don't have to do all that, talk about your crazy stories. But my wife's testimony, they listened, and they know my story. Like, hey, daddy was an atheist and he grew up in church, but decided he didn't want to believe in God and he was bad and doing this. And so I would say telling your story is very, very crucial. 7 is teach them to invite the presence of God into their lives. And this is something we pray every single night, ask the Holy Spirit to fill us.
It needs to be spiritual for them.
Yes. Yeah, it has to be spiritual. It can't just be intellectual. And it can't just be religion where it's just go to church on Sunday.
They need to see the supernatural, feel the Holy Spirit.
Absolutely. So that's inviting the presence of God, praying, make it a regular prayer to just be invite. If you're on Facebook, jump to YouTube. You're feed is choppy, Facebook's lame. Just come over to YouTube. But yeah, teach them to invite the presence of God. And then number 8 is build a family altar. So this is and I don't mean literally hey guys, we need to get some wood and build a family altar and put our kids on it. I literally mean just have a time of prayer. Hey, we're not out here sacrificing our kids or anything like that. You know, like tying Isaac to the altar. By building a family altar, we're talking about prayer, devotion, Bible reading. You've been heading that up really good this year and working through it. And we're not perfect at it. The struggle's real out here. We're doing our best, but this is very, very important if we're going to see revival in our kids.